Hey guys, Chris here, and in this video I want to discuss why I believe learning songs, for example, note for note can be quite detrimental to your development as a musician. Now, I want to disclaim that if you're learning songs or solos for a cover gig or even for the artists themselves, that's a different story. But in terms of just developing and practicing as a musician, I'm going to get into why this can hinder your progress. So I'll start with the fact that I believe every musician has their own unique voice, their soul, their essence, what it is that they're trying to express. I believe this is what makes up a musician and what a musician tries to do. Whether you're a singer, you play cello, drums, bass, etc. Everyone has their own unique style because of their own unique existence, experience, and again, voice. I think that's the best way to describe it. So as musicians, as artists, imitation is key. We all imitate, we steal ideas, we are influenced by other artists, creatives, and that's very much part of the process. This is how we learn and gather new information, or at least one of the main ways that we do so. But I want to explain why I think this can be taken too far and actually hinder and slow your progress. So for a lot of us, myself included, we like learning songs that we enjoy listening to by artists that we love, bands that we love. And that's all well and good, especially when you're in love with, say, the solo of a song and you want to be able to nail it. There's immense satisfaction in that, and it proves something to yourself. But what I found, and I'm sure you can relate, is that this can often lead to a lot of frustration and hindrance. And of course, that's part of the process as when you're developing as a musician. But in learning songs and, say, solos, for example, note for note, I think that detracts from who you are as a musician and what your unique voice has to say. What I found to be extremely useful was when learning or trying to ingrain concepts and ideas and patterns that or drummers that I looked up to were playing. Take Chris Coleman, for example. He was a big one back in the day, still is, but there would be things that he was playing where I would then try imitate myself. But of course I couldn't play it note for note, and that guy and many of these musicians that we try to imitate are going to be like way up there, generally speaking. So you can already see where there's an inconsistency. Now, again, I think it's really useful and beneficial and that it draws satisfaction to learn and imitate them. But when you're specifically focused on the details and learning them note for note, again, aside from playing a cover gig or for that artist, what use does this serve other than potentially ego and, again, your own internal satisfaction? I get it, but in terms of progress and development as a musician, this is really going to slow your progress down because you aren't taking the time to continue developing and expressing your unique voice. Now, more specifically, what I would say to do and what I've learned to do myself is to ingrain and get down those concepts, the ideas, the phrasings, the patterns, whatever it is that they're playing. But in those details and the parts that you maybe struggle or maybe physically aren't capable of playing or at the moment, I think that's where you should let your intuition, your creativity run. Let your voice fill in the blanks, because you'll quickly find that, again, this is what musicians should be doing, in my opinion, is imitating, but then fine-tuning with their own unique voice style. So when I would copy a Chris Coleman phrase or lick, chances are I was probably getting, say, maybe like 80% of the lick down. Now that other 20%, sure, I could have spent maybe countless of hours or however long really, transcribing what he was playing note for note. But what use does this really serve? Again, outside of just ego-driven satisfaction. I think that's probably a blunt way to put it, but it's true. And what I would then do is, with that 20% that I wasn't able to play, I would just see what I felt would fit well. What does my voice, my intuition, my thought process think could fit there? And I think the more you start to do this, the more you fill in those blanks, the more you are developing and ingraining your voice. Again, it's natural for all us musicians, creatives, to imitate, take ideas from others, but I think it's important that we prioritize our own voice and the development of it. Obviously, as a beginner, it's going to be much more beneficial for you to probably learn most songs note for note, because generally they'll be easier songs, and because you have hardly developed your voice. But you'll find as time goes by that your voice grows, develops, becomes more expressive, and you'll have a wider arsenal and range of vocabulary to express yourself with. So it's key and I think paramount that you continue to really hone in on what your voice is, but through imitation, through influence, learning, and then gathering all those resources and building your own thing. You know, I think back to all the times that I would get caught up or frustrated in trying to learn things note for note, and I don't really remember it serving me that much, because often it would leave me frustrated or maybe even feeling quite pessimistic, doubtful in my own ability. And again, when you're trying to imitate those who are so far ahead and have been playing their instruments for maybe even decades, then it's obviously kind of counterintuitive to expect the same results. You know, everyone in life has their own unique path, but let's take that and say that as a musician, you have your own unique path as a musician. Now, every now and then you're going to stop on side paths and go check what your neighbor's doing, see what this person's up to, try learn from them. But you'll find that every now and then you might get stuck on their path a little bit too long, and that's going to take away from you progressing and taking steps further into your own path. You have your own unique life, your own unique experiences, your own unique perspective. And this is why I believe it's paramount that you put your voice as priority, because no matter what, you're never going to be that musician that you look up to, unfortunately or fortunately. But you are yourself. No one is going to play like you. And the longer you continue to develop your voice, the louder and more expressive it will become. So please, please do yourself a service and do not get caught up in those songs, the solos you're trying to learn. I know what it's like. I know the feeling. It's frustrating, and every now and then it is essential, but don't spend so much time on those side paths. You need to continue on your own, and other people will thank you for it, and you will thank yourself for it. Now, obviously I'm biased, and this is just my point of view. I feel like I might have some educators who might not, agree with what I'm saying. But again, I'm not saying not to learn songs and to not imitate, but to not be fixated on those fine-tuned details. In some contexts, I suppose it's useful, but what is paramount and what is most important is your voice and your development. So as you progress as a musician, prioritize that, because you will thank yourself and you will become more comfortable and confident in your sense of self as a musician, having developed your own voice. And you'll find that you have your own unique use of dynamics, phrasings. These are, the commonalities you'll see with certain musicians that you look up to who have that original style. It usually comes down to dynamics, phrasings, and I'd say pretty much those two are the biggest things, but that you will develop your own unique style by prioritizing your own unique voice. So imitate, learn, be influenced by others, inspired by others, but take all that and take it a step further in your direction, in your path. You'll thank yourself, others will thank you for it, and again, I believe that you owe it to yourself as a musician to be you, not someone else. Keep at it. If you like this video or if it makes sense, share your thoughts, comments down below. If you like the video, dislike it, give it a rating, and if you want to see more, you can always subscribe. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.